On today's episode, whoops, we're live. Magic of live broadcasting. On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the Must Bus is back, Tate.
Oh,
Shame on anyone who said they were off the Must Bus. Shame on anyone who
said that?
People,
Not us.
people were saying I'm done with Arkansas. People were saying that non-conference schedule was weak.
Jim, don't pull that
And
clip.
Once they started playing real teams, they started losing, and people were saying, we're not
types of
anti-Arkansas. We're just, we don't need to talk about Arkansas anymore.
Yeah,
Arkansas has won 9 in a row, Tate, and they just
19-5.
just beat the number 1 team in the country. What an atmosphere in Bud Walton Arena.
That sandbagging son of a gun. He does it again.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. We're going to talk about the big upset. Auburn goes down, number 1 team in the country loses. And Arkansas.
Something that we got aggregated for claiming that.
Yeah,
Auburn
this is good.
should
Did
lose.
Auburn actually win by losing?
We'll talk
I don't
about
know.
it. I can't wait.
We'll suss all that out.
Mhm.
Speaking of number 1 seeds going down, the Duke Blue Devils. Rest in peace to their
Ooh.
1 seed chances. That lasted about 48 hours. They beat North Carolina.
Highest ceiling of any team in the country.
Yes. There's
As
1
John
seed
Rothstein
chatter.
told us.
There's talk about 1 seed.
Yes.
Can Duke run the table?
Mhm.
If they run the table now, we got to start thinking. Now, what happens if Duke and then immediately lose the next game?
And it's gone.
And it's gone.
Tony Bennett's back, though.
Yeah. And what year is it, dude? We're talking
It
about Tony
feels
Bennett,
very
the Bus Bus?
2018,
Yeah.
which we need that energy in 2022.
Yes. We're going to talk about Reese Beekman hitting the buzzer beater. We're going to talk about maybe a little Cameron Crazies.
The
With
cheat sheets.
the chance. What the hell were those?
Yeah.
Also tonight we watched Purdue complete the season sweep of Illinois, Tate. Purdue's looking
Zach
good.
Edey is the kryptonite to Kofi Coburn.
Yeah.
I think we've learned that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big guy, scenes big guy, doesn't work out.
I still think Illinois is the Big Ten's best shot at a national title, and I'll do my
I'm right
best
there
to
with you.
try not to.
Actually, I'm not going to say that on the show after last
Yeah.
year, but I feel pretty good about that.
That seems very stupid considering Purdue just swept them, but I'm going to try to make sense of all that. UConn gets a big win over Marquette. Wisconsin wins at Michigan State. Texas finally got a signature win.
Texas.
There's a lot to talk about. All of it is coming up, but first,
Woody Durham.
all right, let's start with Purdue, Illinois. I think right. We'll get to Auburn in a second.
That's what we just
I want to
watched.
talk about Purdue, Illinois, because that was a game that just ended. Purdue wins by 16 in Mackey Arena. Jaden Ivey, 22 second half points, I believe. And I said at the top that I still think Illinois is the best team for the Big Ten to win a nat. Like Purdue is clearly the best team in the Big Ten. I think you have to go with that after tonight. Like I think you can't make an argument that Illinois is better than Purdue when Purdue has swept them and looked better than them. But I still can't.
But
get
what
out of
did
my head.
Andy Katz tell us once upon a time? Bad matchups exist.
Bad matchup.
And I think Purdue is the only team in the country that's a bad matchup for Illinois.
Yeah, they really are, because Illinois. If you were to
Granted,
boil
they're in
down,
their conference and they have to
I
play them
know.
twice.
Maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times for all we know. If you were to boil down Illinois' identity into bullet points, you would say they have a massive human being that is skilled down
Yes.
low. His name is Kofi Coburn.
National Player of the Year candidate.
Yes, and they have surrounded this massive human being with, by and large, great shooting, guys who can knock down shots from the perimeter, and also some playmakers like Curbelo
Plummer.
and
Playmakers.
playmaker, Trent Frazier, Andre Curbelo, whatever. That's pretty much the identity. That's like the nuts and bolts of what their identity is. Big dude, shooters, couple playmakers. Purdue is the exact same thing, but better. It is an even bigger guy. You have a big guy, we have a bigger guy. You have shooters, we have better shooters.
Mhm.
You have a playmaker, we have Jaden Ivey. And that's why they're a terrible matchup for Illinois. But I still think Illinois, by virtue of actually playing, they didn't play much defense tonight. Purdue and Mackey Arena is hard to guard. But no, I think moving forward, I still get worried about Purdue because we've talked about it a million times, the one and done nature of the NCAA tournament. Is Purdue. Can Purdue get enough stops when they need to? What happens when they're not making shots? All that stuff. But when it comes to Illinois, Purdue is basically Illinois but better. It's very weird. These scenarios can only happen in college basketball. I can't think of other sports where this is the case. Where it's I don't know, football sometimes isn't the NFC West weird like that? There's the Rams always beat I guess the Rams just beat the.
That's just usually how.
I don't know, but there's always matchups, and that's how I feel about this. It's Illinois would lose if they play Purdue again. Purdue's going to beat them again.
To put it in internet terms for the kids at home, it's the Spider-Man meme, except for Illinois is Andrew Garfield, and Purdue is Tom Holland. You know what I mean? Like they're pointing at each other. They're basically the same thing, but one of them is just a little bit better than the other one.
Michigan State is Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3. Michigan State is emo Spider-Man.
Yeah. They've given up on the series altogether. They're done with everything. But that's how it feels.
Technically Spider-Man, but it's
when they play each other, you can see that Kofi is obviously bothered by the size of Edey, but there's only one man in college basketball that is going to give him those fits, and it is Zach Edey.
Well, yeah.
I think
Christian Coloco also.
Maybe.
But no, we've been on this for a while. That like when Kofi Coburn meets massive,
he's a bully.
Massive dude. Yeah, he's a bully. He can beat the hell out of the guys that are smaller than him.
Mm-hmm.
He meets a guy that's his size. It doesn't go as well. But Purdue, this was a big win for Purdue. I think obviously
Robbie Hummel on the call. Shout out to Robbie.
Yeah.
That was fun.
He didn't curse Purdue this time.
No.
Hasn't he been? He did the Rutgers game, and then he did the NC State game, right, when they almost lost to NC State, and it looked for a while there. It was touch and go as to whether Robbie was a Purdue curse.
And it's a lot of pressure. Like I even said this to you before the game started. I was like, for Robbie to go into that building, obviously as much as he is being the commentator, there is the fan and the love and the all that for Purdue basketball right there in front of you, and you don't want to be the voice of the letdown. So this was nice. I feel like everyone got to celebrate. Good night for the bathrooms in Mackey, and it was pretty much a non-eventful blowout for the most part. I mean, Trent Frazier going down with what looked like a bad injury was the big drama moment of this game. Luckily, he's okay. Came back and played. So
you got the Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
Jalen Suggs against West Virginia. Trent Frazier got that treatment. Whatever it is,
in the moment it was over.
Like the moment you saw Trent Frazier go down, I was like, oh god.
Start playing the highlights from earlier in the season. Yeah,
there goes Trent Frazier's entire career. He's not going to play professionally.
He was back in a minute. Thank God. Thank God.
Do you remember that with Suggs?
No, I remember it like it was yesterday.
I started crying. I think.
No, I think both of us. We had tears in our eyes, and Sarah McLaughlin started singing in the background. Crazy.
And then Jalen Suggs comes back against West Virginia. So that's it. That's basically. I don't think really we had planned on doing the live show to do a reaction to this game. There's not much to react. I mean, like that's pretty much it. It's like Purdue is better than Illinois. The Big Ten standings are this, Tate. Purdue, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin wins in East Lansing tonight. Wire to wire leads the game. That never trails in the Breslin Center. So now you're left at the top of the Big Ten looks like this. Purdue, Illinois, and Wisconsin are all 10-3. Ohio State is 7-3. Tate. Interesting. Ohio State has the exact same number of losses as the teams at the top. They've played 3 fewer games because every game gets canceled, and for Ohio State, every single one. And then Michigan State is now 8-4. So the Big Ten race. Purdue dropped a couple early. They lose at IU. They lose at Rutgers.
Nebraska still defeated in the Big Ten. Has not won a game.
Yes. Fred, I heard someone refer to Fred Hoiberg as Fred Iceberg because he sinks your program or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if that's funny or not, but
I like where I like your head.
We can work with that.
It's a good start.
But Purdue looked for a second there when they lost at IU, especially. And my dad came on the show and was cackling and all that. It looked like could it be that Purdue was not going to win the Big Ten? Is Purdue does the Big Ten title not go through West Lafayette? As it turns out, I think it does. I think Purdue is the best team. I think Purdue is the rightful best or favorite in the Big Ten. We'll say. Do
you think this helped Ivy be the Big Ten Player of the Year over Kofi Coburn? Because this has been a year of attacking overrated chants. A lot of people in the media and even the commentators now are pointing out the overrated chants are wrong. Kofi Coburn goes to the free throw line. All the Purdue fans start chanting overrated. And granted, they're the 13 team, you're the 3 team. So in that
you thought they weren't talking about.
I don't think it was about
team. They were talking about
Kofi Coburn, which is to say they think Jaden Ivey could be the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Johnny Davis is still up there. I mean, he balled out.
At one time, we said he was the National Player of the Year.
Don't count out Johnny Davis. I think Johnny Davis is first.
So those 3 right now, right? Or that's where the race is.
I mean, Johnny Davis. And
EJ Liddell, I guess, is in there.
Dude, EJ Liddell is been awesome as well. And it's like I try not to get. I understand that most people listening don't really need me to go nuts about Ohio State more than I already do, but. So I'm trying to hold back a little bit, but EJ Liddell has done nothing wrong.
No, he's still in the conversation.
Was awesome, and
so
then
those 4 guys,
games are getting canceled left and right for Ohio State, for weather, for COVID, for God knows what else. And nothing has really changed with how good EJ Liddell is, but
the other
he's
teams keep
completely
playing.
gone.
So
Yeah,
it's recency
so
bias.
he's completely out of the conversation. But no, you're right. It is one of those 4 guys. I don't know. It's certainly more of a conversation now after tonight. I think like I know Illinois fans will point to stats that Coburn over the course of the Big Ten season he's done this and that, but I know what my eyes have told me. And the 2 times he's played Purdue, he's disappeared. And he's been ineffective. So I don't know what.
But on Sunday, you could have made the conversation or made the argument that Kobe Coburn was the national player of the year.
Yeah, right.
So that's how quickly things can turn. You know what I mean? It goes from 2 days ago, he's the national player of the year. I think he's jumped Oscar Tshiebwe. And now, this game happens at Purdue, which
I will say though
is expected, but it's changed that much.
This is more fun though than like a year like when Zion just explodes on the scene and then he's the obvious national player of the year the entire season.
And we have nothing to talk about.
There's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
It's been more fun that every single time a guy has a good game, we're like, is this guy national player of the year?
Literally. This guy do something the first time? Put him up on the board.
We got to talk about it. All right, so there's your Purdue Illinois recap. Let's get to the real news of the day, which is number 1 team in the country goes down. Bud Walton Arena, as I said, biggest crowd in Bud Walton Arena history. Tate, it was bonkers. It was nuts. The Arkansas Razorbacks have now won 9 straight. JD Note was on another level. This was a guy that like
28 points.
When we talk about like we try to find these moments throughout the regular season because for most of the world, college basketball only matters in March, and you have to like try to pinpoint and highlight moments through it. Like when Indiana did beat Purdue, and we like made that a moment on the show and talked about it. Like we kind of highlighted like this is why we watch all season, and this is why you don't just turn into March, because moments like this that matter to these people more than it might to other. That's what I saw in JD Note tonight. Was like this was in the grand scheme of things, this was just like an SEC game that I understand was the number 1 team in the country, but this was a man that like understood the moment. He understood this was the biggest crowd ever. He not only had 28 points, he was making insane shots. He would like ISO on Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler and just spray these are 2 like great shot blockers. Kessler's the best shot blocker in the country, just rising up and hitting threes in his face.
And those guys had great games, I mean, all things considered.
This was not all games are created equal is what I guess I'm saying. Not all situations are created equal. JD Note knew that, and tonight he was like, I'm going to ball out. I'm going to put on a show. He did exactly that. It was so fun to watch. I think the story, we're probably going to end up talking more about Auburn because, they're the number 1 team in the country. They've won 1,000 games in a row. They still have not lost in regulation for what it's worth. But I want to talk a little bit about Arkansas because that is a team that I may or may not on this show have said I'm done with. Not in an angry way. I'm more the 2 teams I've sworn off. I feel like this year were Villanova and Arkansas, and Villanova was more of like an aggressive swearing off. Villanova's like, I don't care what my eyes tell me.
Houston fans are yelling right now. They're like, he won't even mention us as written off.
He
won't even say we're written off.
Villanova is more of a case of like, I don't care what I am aggressively anti this Villanova team. I think this year, Arkansas, I was just like, I just don't see it.
Yeah,
just like I'll check back in later. Just kind of whatever. I see it now. I see it. I'm back around. If JD Note is gonna have 28 points and just go fucking bonkers like he did, that's a game changer for sure.
In Arkansas, for me, I mean, we believe in the must bus. We like the must bus, but there were some of the guys on their team like Audis Tony, Chris Likes, some familiar faces on this team that I like these guys. I wanted to like this team, but the way they started, it was
Jalen Williams was tough tonight too.
Yeah,
clawed in the face and like just
it was just a team that they were meandering along and they felt like they were off the beaten path and they weren't going to be a part of the conversation. Go on this winning streak.
This is why I was getting so upset in the first place about Arkansas was that we need Arkansas to play good games throughout the season. They're going to the Maui Invitational next year, by the way. So I do remember when I went on a rant earlier in the season that Arkansas fans were like, now next year we are going to Maui. So there is that. But it's just frustrating to have a team that's been right in front of our faces the whole time, but it's hard to take them seriously when you play a garbage schedule,
Yeah.
It's hard to – and even on this win streak, they won 8 straight going into tonight. You look at who they beat, and it's like, I mean, you're beating the bottom of the SEC. It's like, I don't know how excited to get about that, but like at the same time, you are winning. So I don't know. So I can never make sense of it. Tonight, finally, you gave me a data point that I can say, that's good. Good job. I understand that.
And now we're in this position where Arkansas is 19-5 and just beat the number 1 team in the country and their resume.
1 seed?
I mean, if Coach K was coaching, yes. I mean, I would have to say yes. So that
Where are they on bracketology stuff? What are people saying? Let me pull up bracket matrix.
I would assume that they were like 8, 9, right?
A seed. Bracket matrix is A seed. Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, they got to bump up from there.
Bump up.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking now like 5, 6 range.
Yeah.
Potentially, if you put the resume all together and they can hold things up. I mean, the real story of this game, though, started when Auburn came out and danced on the logo.
Yeah. Muss was
because Muss is a meme. We have to remember this. As much as we love Musselman, the basketball coach, he is Muscle meme.
Yeah.
And the fact that Auburn came out and I guess TikToked or danced or did whatever they did on the logo.
Jackson Mahomes.
Jackson Mahomes them. They got Mahomes. And then all hell breaks loose from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eric Musselman obviously lost his mind, told his team what he had witnessed, and then they played out of their mind. So the fact that was the impetus to this win is both comical and also very Musselman.
Well, that brings. Let's talk about the Auburn part of this because that brings
the dancing part of
to the big discussion that we've been having for the last couple of weeks. Is that does Auburn need to lose? We both felt like they did, and that's one of the reasons why is that I don't know if cocky is the right word, but there was definitely I mean, we talked about it on the last show we did that there was this sense of like the divinity behind the Auburn program that like we are the chosen team, that we are the team of destiny this year, that no matter what we do, we keep finding ways to win these games, that everybody loves us. Bruce Pearl has the entire college basketball media eating out of the palm of his hand. He could. We actively do not like Bruce Pearl on the show, and like I half expect when we do live shows like this for like Bruce Pearl to just pop up on our screen because like our producers are like, I don't know, man, he called us, so we had to put him on. Like, that's how
he said he loves you guys.
He said he loves you guys. Like that's like we've created this situation where like Auburn is just so pervasive. Like their fans online. We talked about that before that they go into these post game, like the replies.
They go for the ratio.
The deep fried memes, as they say.
Yeah.
And there's this whole like aura around Auburn basketball right now, which is obviously good and it's fun and it's exciting and it's new and it's a new program that's at the adult table of college basketball. And I was like, this is cool. But at the same time, you can sense that the rest of the SEC is like, now hang on a second, especially Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky fans are like, get this out of my face. Like, what are we doing? Like Auburn wins. Auburn says that Kentucky's like not that big of a deal, and they beat Kentucky and they're standing on the tables. And by the way, is that like an SEC thing?
It
like
is.
Every game you win, you stand on the guys are standing on the
tables.
tables.
Take your jersey off. Play swag surf.
So I think there was that. And as it pertains to Musselman was the original take his shirt off guy. I know Bruce Pearl painted his chest at Tennessee, but Musselman was the take his shirt off and start twirling it in celebration guy. He was the original meme. He was the original in our minds, in our world. Like this, and now he's got Bruce Pearl coming in and infringing on his territory. And I think that's what this game was about, was that he was like, I need to knock these people down a peg or two. We need to like reconfigure the hierarchy of SEC basketball, because Auburn coming into the season was not considered like the top. It was Kentucky was still at the top, Like I'm not talking about the teams this season. I'm talking about like Kentucky, and then there was like Musselman and Nate Oates, who are like their names are getting thrown for every single job out there. You'd sprinkle in like Rick Barnes, and then maybe like Auburn's with Rick Barnes. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden we look up and just a snap of a finger, Auburn's like the cream of the SEC. And I don't think that sits well with these SEC guys.
I think you're 100% right. And I think let's dissect this whole situation, because when we look at Bruce Pearl, we look at this Auburn program and the way that Eric Musselman talked about them, they're the villain, right?
Yes.
They are the bad guys. They are the ones that everyone is like, we got to deal with them. And I think, college basketball, there was a bar that was set, probably in the 1960s, 1970s. And it was like, this is how we do things. We don't cheat. We don't, this is dirty. This is that. This is, and then the bar got lowered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, the bar has continually gotten lower and lower. And James Cameron, no matter what he can do, he cannot raise that bar. And college basketball's bar keeps going down and down and down. So much so that a man who has a show cause penalty can get hired at a program and no one even bats an eye.
A man who is on a federal wiretap that has been played on HBO in a documentary for the entire world to hear.
That's how low the bar is.
Still the coach at LSU.
That is how low the bar is. And I think in a time, Eric Musselman would have been on the lower end of the bar, right? When we talk about like coaches and maybe ethics and, some of the things that he would be in. Now he is on the other end of the spectrum where he is like the good guy, the bastion of how to do things the right way. And you got these other actors and characters that are the bar is all the way down here, and that's where they're playing. And it is a fascinating, like the SEC is fascinating in that sense because Eric Musselman, who could be considered by some maybe a bad guy, is so far on the good guy side.
Are you saying bad or bag?
I'm saying bag.
Okay.
B-A-G. He has those tendencies, but like the real bad guys that are like so far that you're like, I don't even know if I can call them bad guys because they might be bad guys. That is the Bruce Pearls in this pool, and it is just like the back and forth, the jockeying for position between these people, and then like the picking and you and I are Musselman guys.
Yes,
we're on the Muss bus.
Yes.
And that's why when this happened tonight, it did feel a little bit like a reprieve.
Like the good guys won.
Like the bar rose a little bit. Like a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But ultimately, this is good for Auburn. And that is kind of wise. Like that idea that Auburn, there was a sense around Auburn basketball that it's the first week of February and Auburn has already won and they've already climbed the top of the mountain. And there's nothing left to climb, and we've done it. And everywhere we go, we win. It's unbelievable. We're the best. And to get knocked down a peg, now you can reassess. Now you can. I mean, we talked about that too. That like you need to lose a game like this to look inward and say where did things go wrong? And I'll tell you where things went wrong. The same place things have gone wrong.
19
Auburn
turnovers.
has said yes, as Auburn has had close calls. 19 turnovers. Wendell Green shooting just an absurd amount of shots.
And speaking of Wendell,
what was that shot at the end of regulation? That reminded me.
That was the Patrick Ewing. Have you ever shot that shot?
Yeah, it reminded me of. Do you remember the 5 overtime game that Louisville played at Notre Dame when Russ Smith? I think the end of regulation and all 5 overtimes. I think like Russ Smith missed a game.
Yeah, it just kept going on. Yeah,
and there was one I remember where he just like pulled up from like 40 feet. That he's just sitting there dribbling out the clock, like they're holding it for 1, and he's just sitting there pounding the ball, and he's looking up at the clock, and it gets down to 10, and he's like, okay, and then he just like steps in and just drills it off the backboard. That's what the Wendell Green shot was. The difference is Russ Smith is a first-team All-American. Wendell Green, when Auburn has their full team, Wendell Green comes off the bench.
Yes,
and I think like if I'm Bruce Pearl, if I'm Auburn, I don't know how you have this conversation. I don't know the mental makeup of Wendell Green completely. But you have to have some sort of conversation with this guy because he's won you ball games. Like at Alabama was certainly a case where I got really excited about Wendell Green. We did a show like that night or
we were talking about they needed a guard.
I was like, oh my God, this guy is a star. This guy can step up and he's not, the moment's not too big for him, all that kind of stuff. It's I don't know if it's going to his head or what, but like this dude, I have a stat for you to back this up, Tate. Here's a stat. Conference field goal attempts per game for the Auburn Tigers. SEC games only since conference play has started. Wendell Green leads the team with 13.4 shot attempts. 13 shot attempts off the bench. Second on the team is Jabari Smith with 11.2. He is averaging more than 2 fewer shots per game than a guy who, he's starting now because Jasper's out, but will traditionally come off the bench for them. The number 1 pick in the country is averaging 2 fewer shots per game than a guy who is coming off the bench. That's where Auburn has arrived. And they keep winning, and that is exactly the problem, is every time you win at Missouri and you win at Georgia, you say to yourself, we don't need to fix this. It's working. Now you need to fix it. Now let's fix it moving forward, and maybe Auburn will, they'll come back around, and we'll get excited about him again.
And Wendell Green, after the game, he was asked about the loss and what it meant to this team. He said, quote, "It's great, I kind of forgot what it feels like to lose. We need this. We are going to stay together. We feel great where we are at."
So he understands. He gets it. Does he listen to the show? Wendell, do you listen?
I mean, is that not what we said
exactly what
about a week ago? Yeah. And I think this will be great for Auburn. I think this will be a lesson learned. And I hope that these guards, that's really what it comes down to when you look at this Auburn team. They have these 2 front court players who no one is going to be able to outmatch Jabari or Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler is unbelievable. Like you said, he's the best rim protector in the country. So no one is going to be able to outmatch or outclass those 2 guys. You know that going into any game in the country. So that's a good thing to have. But these guards have to know time and score, have to know how to manage the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that guy is on Auburn, and I think it has to be Wendell Green. But like you said, someone has to have that conversation. And maybe it's like Jabari, you need to have the ball late game situations. But
I gotta say,
someone's got to figure that out.
I should apologize to Bruce Pearl and the Auburn people because like Jasper, their starting point guard is not playing right now, and
he's a great defender.
They're making it out. They were making it out like this was a big deal, and I was kind of rolling my eyes because I'm like, all right, this dude is, he averages what, like 5 points a game and like 3 assists. He's not. He's
not setting the world on fire.
He's not setting the world on fire. Like, this isn't that big of a difference. That's not why you almost lost to Georgia. Like, calm down. Like, it's not like this guy's not gonna make.
Which is what Bruce Pearl said exactly after the game.
Exactly. And now I'm watching and I'm like, man, they could really use a guy that's not a ball handler that's not looking to shoot. They could really use that.
You don't need gunners.
So now I kind of get it. Like Jasper, they could really use a guy that's like, no, I'm happy like just playing defense and bringing the ball up the floor and finding Jabari Smith. I can do that.
There are times where, like, I love when a guard puts his head down and it's like, I'm going to get to the basket. But there are times with Katie Johnson, you just want to say, keep your head up 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah.
It's like right he catches, he's already down. It's like, no, head up for a second.
Yeah. So where does that leave us? Who's number one? Who's the new number one?
Ooh,
is there a number one? Should we just go? Should we do a week of no number one? Should we try that? Has the AP poll ever done that?
That would
no
be
number
fun.
one.
That would be good. I think that's like a way. If Overtime Elite actually starts taking players, that's how we punish college basketball. Where like there is no number one in college basketball because there might be an Overtime Elite. I think the number one team is easy. I think we both know who the answer is. It's Gonzaga.
Yeah,
Gonzaga is the number one team in the country.
I think we want to pretend like there's not an obvious number one, but
apparently the journalists that we are wading in the same waters, they believe that there is no number one. Jay Billis was hot on this weekend talking in the Carolina Duke game.
There's no great team.
There's no great team. There's no Baylor of last year.
There's no
Gonzaga of last year, which I agree with that.
I agree with that.
But
that's fair.
There still is a team that
is wrecking everybody.
Yes.
It's Gonzaga. And if we're still doing the same conversations in 2022 about Gonzaga doesn't play anybody, it's like you're off the reservation. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, we don't need it. The WCC is going to get 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. They're wrecking everybody. They're not just like, I don't know. We do the Gonzaga rant every year that but that's the thing about Gonzaga is like you and I think I gave Chet Holmgren a shout out on the last show when they beat San Diego or someone who San Diego's not great, granted, but that Chet Holmgren and Gonzaga are both have just kind of moved off to the side. They as they've gone through the WC schedule, as tends to happen with Gonzaga. We kind of forget about them. They're not really on national TV all the time. When they are, they seem to be tipping off at 11 Eastern, and they're playing BYU or something, and people on the East Coast are like, I don't know. I mean, I'll watch the first half. And then Gonzaga is also a victim of their own success where they, like, beat the hell out of BYU so badly that you come away from that game instead of thinking, like, damn, Gonzaga looks pretty good. You're like, BYU sucks. Like, that's how people treat the WCC. The WCC is going to get 4 teams into the NCAA tournament. And Gonzaga is going to destroy all of them. And when they do, you're going to say, all those teams suck. And I don't know how that happens.
I don't either. And like, if you just look at the makeup of this team, I mean, Andrew Nimhard, we need to be talking about him more as one of the best players in the country. You know what I mean? Like, they have 3 guys on their team that legit have like a separate conversation of, wow, this guy's, I mean, Drew Timme, who we obviously knew about, Chet Holmgren, who's I think going to be the number 1 pick at this point, and then Andrew Nimhard. So
you're on the Chet train?
I think Chet's going to be number 1 pick. I think he's
going full circle.
I think he's unique enough that he's going to be the number 1 pick, and I think that number 2 pick is going to be Jabari, and I think
Paolo's 3.
Yeah.
I think Paolo's definitely.
Which is wild because in December, after they went head to head, right, it was a foregone conclusion that he was number 1.
Yeah.
But Paolo can get lost in the game, so to speak. Like Chet, even if Chet's not scoring, Chet has an impact on the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyways, but all I'm saying is that Gonzaga, they are just as interesting. They are, very, very talented. They might not be as talented as they were last year, but they are legitimately the number 1 team in the country. And I don't think we should be dismissive with them because they lost to an Alabama or lost to a Duke, because those are 2 quality teams. And I feel like right now, as we look at the whole landscape, Gonzaga, head and shoulders, they are the number 1 team.
They wrecked UCLA. They wrecked Texas.
Yes.
They wrecked Texas Tech. They have
and we know
wiped the floor with BYU twice now.
We know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, we know who they are. And I think that they know the long game at this point, right? I mean, Drew Timme, Mark Few, they know what they have to win the title this year.
Yeah.
So like even if you don't want to say they're number 1 or whatever, they know what the end game is.
They don't care. Yeah,
They don't
that
care.
is
Yeah.
interesting. That like Gonzaga, I feel like
They used to care.
They used to care. Gonzaga fans would probably care about this stuff. Even last year, they probably cared. You know,
Yeah.
they were they were wire to wire number one last year. But even as recently as then, they probably would have cared about like arguing.
But they cared
about
last year
whether
when Baylor was undefeated too, and they were
Yeah.
arguing who.
Yeah, like Baylor fans were like, we're number one, and they're like, now hang on a second. You know, like I really don't. I do get the feeling that Gonzaga fans don't care. They care about one thing, and that's winning 6 games.
The only thing I think they would care about, is if Arizona was number one.
Ooh, that's
because of Tommy Lloyd.
That's a good call.
Because that's like
That's a good.
that's
call.
us, you know.
That's a good call.
That's like our in their mind.
Yeah.
They're like that's our JV.
That's our JV team. Yeah, yeah.
How are they number one? That's the only thing I think that could ruffle the feathers of the Gonzaga fans. But I think they're clear cut number one, and I think it's a little disrespectful how we're all kind of. I mean, not us, but like in general, it seems like to be this. What are we looking for here?
Yeah.
Who could it be?
Yeah, well,
Like,
I mean, like Gonzaga's been better than Auburn. They've been playing better than Auburn for a couple weeks now. You know, like
Yes.
Auburn. I mean, we
how
went
many
nuts.
close games have we watched?
Yeah, we went nuts the last show we did. Where I said, if you still think Auburn's the best team, I mean, Auburn has the best resume. I understand. It wouldn't surprise me even if the tournament started tomorrow if Auburn's still your number one overall seed. But if you're gambling on this stuff and you're setting odds, and you're not having Gonzaga as your title favorite, you're not paying any attention at all to what's going on, right?
Agreed.
Would you agree with that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, and I almost don't want to even talk about it in those terms because I think it puts such a pressure and burden back on Gonzaga. And I would love
the burden's always been there. The
I know,
pressure's always
I know,
there.
but
That's all.
I just kind of want to like pull it away a little bit. I feel like Baylor got the benefit of that last year. You know, like Baylor going into the tournament
By not having the
by
target.
everyone saying that Gonzaga they're undefeated, they have to do this yada yada yada. It's like Baylor was the same level team, but they just could do it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we're here to handle business. You
Yeah.
guys deal with all that. Like you deal with those questions.
Yeah.
And I want Gonzaga to almost have that blanket. That
So,
cloak.
but I think they're going to. I think the fact that like we're gonna
maybe this disrespect gets them there.
Auburn has Auburn's a runaway train in terms of attention, in terms of like, you know, the team that everyone is locked in on, because in the minds of most of America, Auburn, even though they lost tonight, they're still number one for a lot of, you know, like I just said, like if the tournament started, there still might be the number one overall seed. For a lot of people, Jabari Smith is still the number one pick in the draft. There's just like Auburn is a runaway train in terms of attention, where Gonzaga's not going to grab the collective attention of the country back until the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be fine in that regard. There's nothing they can do. They could win every game by 60 for the rest of the season, and it's not like
People are still going to have that doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, or not even the doubt. They're not going to be like locked in on Gonzaga. They were locked in last year because they were undefeated, and they were, you know,
They're like, we've done this.
yeah. So I don't think
I've seen
America.
this
Yeah, America is not going to wake up or stay up till 1 a.m. to watch Gonzaga this year. They're just going to be like, I'll check back in March. So I think that helps them because I don't think they're going to have like the huge target like they had last year. Which again speaks to our theory: losing is good, because if Gonzaga beats Duke and Alabama, they have the target.
It all
So
checks
lose.
out in our mind.
So lose.
Yeah.
That's the take home.
Don't lose. Learn.
What about so who is number 2 then? I guess if Gonzaga is like an obvious number 1, is it Auburn? Is it Kentucky?
I think it's
Is it
Kentucky.
Purdue?
I think it's Kentucky. I got Kentucky at number 2.
I probably agree with you.
I think it's.
And we should say we're not basing this. We don't do resume. We don't care about resume.
Yeah, no.
We do is like, how are you playing right
Yeah,
now?
who's the number 1 team in the country by basketball standards? Like,
Yeah.
get this out of my face. Get the Q1. And
I don't need your Q1. Yeah, I don't
Smack it
care.
at them. No.
We're eye test, baby.
No, and the I is I think this. I think this.
Capital I.
Capital I. I think Kentucky, you said it, Gonzaga should be the favorite, but if they're not the favorite, Kentucky's the favorite to win the national championship. And if they're even on, if they're both like plus 250 to win the title, I think that's fine. I think Kentucky's right there.
I like Arizona and Purdue in the mix, but I think they, as I said, Purdue is I don't trust them in the NCAA tournament. It's not even for Purdue memes. It's not even like because Purdue always chokes, because I think that's very lazy to say that like the name on the front of the jersey always chokes. So this year they're, you know, because that's, I mean, Virginia always choked until they didn't, you know, and the same that everyone says that about Gonzaga. Gonzaga will win
Kansas
a title at some point.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
you know, so it's not that. It's that Purdue doesn't play defense. Arizona also is a little slightly too erratic, a little too young.
Yeah,
I love
I
Arizona.
like
so
Arizona
much.
next year.
I like Arizona next year, but all those guys are probably going to leave.
I know,
and they're
exactly.
not actually going to
Totally
come back
different
next year. So get to work. Who's the car dealership that Lute Olson was friends with? That
Yeah.
was
That guy,
that Tom Tolbert got the
his Sam
hookup.
Gilbert, basically.
Yeah. Get that guy back in the mix and get all those guys back for next year. Yeah, I'm with you. It's Gonzaga and Kentucky. I don't like when we agree. It's more fun when we don't agree.
I mean, but is there any team outside of those?
Gonzaga,
four?
it's probably Gonzaga. My list would honestly be Gonzaga, Kentucky, and I put Auburn at 3. I do like Auburn. I'm not done with Auburn.
I'm not done
they
with Auburn.
needed to lose. They needed to absorb this and come back. And I
Here
put Auburn.
I put UCLA at 3
at
because I'm not done either.
There we go.
I'm not done either.
There's the disagreement. That's the disagreement I was looking
I'm not
for.
done. I'm not done with UCLA. And we're talking about the tournament right now. I'm not talking about, UCLA. Wouldn't shock me if they lose 2 or 3 more games in the Pac-12. But they know, just like
What
Gonzaga
UCLA's
knows,
playing right now, they're playing Stanford, and
they're probably losing.
they're probably down.
They're probably losing.
All right, guess the score. I don't even have it in front of me.
Where I don't even know where we are in the game. I
Let's
can't.
guess that it's halftime.
If it's halftime, 37-32.
I'm going to say UCLA's 37-32.
UCLA,
I'm going to say they're
up
down
5.
3.
Then they're up 5.
Oh, they're up 10 at half. All right, they're good. they're
No,
back.
that's
They're
my
back.
number 3 team right there.
UCLA does I get a sense.
I'm not done with them. They're not done either.
I get a sense that I'm worried about them losing at Arizona, and they just lost and then losing at Arizona State, that they have now lost their will to care until March.
Yeah, which is
And
okay.
They're gonna do the most LA thing possible that the LA Lakers have taught them, which is just try to coast your way to the playoffs and then flip the switch.
Yes.
But by flip the switch, we mean actually losing the first round. I feel like that might be their destiny.
If I see Johnny Juzang tweet 0 dark 30 before March Madness, then I'm out.
Zero dark 30.
Yeah, if I see 0 and dark next to each other in any tweet from Johnny Juzang, then I will take them out of my number 3 slot. But right now, I like those 3 teams. When we talk about title teams, like close my eyes, who's going to win the national championship? I think those would be my 3: Gonzaga, Kentucky, UCLA.
All right.
And Arizona, no disrespect to Arizona, but
No,
UCLA is my
No.
pick.
All right. Let's move on. Let's do King of the Mountain, presented by Coors Light. Coors Light is the one I choose when I need to unwind. So when you want to hit reset, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door, Drizzly or Instacart, by going to CoorsLight.com/T&T. That's with an ampersand, Tate.
Yeah.
T&T. Please celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to make this very simple. It's Eric Musselman.
Yes.
For a lot of the reasons we already touched on. My King of the Mountain, college basketball, right this second, is Eric Musselman, and it's hard to is the picture behind me? No, where was that picture? It's behind you. Muss with his shirt off,
Yeah.
in a sling.
In a sling.
That is an image, like this is why he's so good at the meme game, Tate, because he understands. Bruce Pearl understands it too, but Eric Musselman understands the lasting it. Like that image will be burned in my brain, unfortunately, for a very long time, of Eric Musselman. The crowd storms the court at Bud Walton Arena. He dips out. He slides into the hallway to do the post-game interview, where he is very quick to mention that Auburn was dancing on the logo. And then he disappears for a second. And the next time we see him, he has his shirt off. So I'm thinking through like how this happened. He apparently has said that he told the students that said, if we win tonight, will you take your shirt off? And he promised he would, which, like, I'm not calling Muss a liar. I'm just saying that, like, it feels like Muss would just take his shirt off,
Yeah,
and then explain it later.
His natural reaction is shirt.
It's just shirt comes off.
Anything good happens in his life, he's like, I gotta rip this shirt off quickly. Get me out of this shirt.
But this was Auburn's first win over a number 1 team since 1984. A team Auburn. This is Arkansas's first win over a number 1 team since 1984.
Michael Jordan,
when they beat Michael Jordan in North Carolina.
And we love stats that bring up Michael Jordan. Those are always the best stats.
The best ones.
I mean, remember the bubble when every single game it was like, this guy Jamal Murray is the first time since Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's how I feel like this season.
You move the sliders of
yes,
whatever the stats are at the time, and
then you get a Big Ten
stat. But Muss is my King of the Mountain, not just for knocking off number 1, not just for taking his shirt off. But as you said, like as we were talking about earlier, this does feel like a cleansing of the SEC a little bit, because the Will Wade won the SEC last year. Bruce Pearl's probably going to win it this year. There's a little too much other.
Yes.
How do we say it?
Yes.
We need there are a ton of characters in the SEC. We know this.
Character counts.
Character does count.
Does count.
That should be the new motto of the SEC.
Yes.
It just means more. Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Character counts. Should be
Characters count.
John Calipari is certainly a character.
Yes.
Bruce Pearl, Will Wade, Nate Oates.
Tom Crean.
Throw Tom Crean in there. Rick Barnes.
Yeah.
Buzz Williams.
Yeah.
Frank Martin shaved his head. And
Ben Howland.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this.
There are a ton of characters, and in my mind, if I was power ranking, like when I think of characters in the SEC, Eric Musselman is the top of my list, and over the course of this season, something has happened, something has gone haywire. He has slid down the character power rankings, and it's good for maybe just for one night. I hope it's not just for one night, but for this night, Eric Musselman is number 1 back on the character power rankings, and character does count. That's why he's my king of the mountain.
Absolutely, and it does feel like we got the must bust that we love. You know what I mean? Like the man, the myth, the legend in full form. And like you said, it might just be a fleeting moment, but thank God we got that one shining moment. You know what I mean? We deserve that. So King of the Mountain, I love that. That's a good pick.
There you go. Who's yours?
Well, this is a big story on Tobacco Road. I don't know if you've seen this. a lot of controversy that's happening. And it started with my man Dickie V, who comes out and he tweets, "The profanity at the UNC basketball versus Duke men's basketball game was a disgrace. The F Coach K chants were classless. No place for that. I know UNC is better than that. It was pathetic, and Dean Smith would never have tolerated it."
Wait, what? He really tweeted this?
He tweeted this. Yes. Yes. And
Are you sure?
Yes. Dickie V tweeted this. and it got me so upset. And it got me so upset that I'm here at this juncture in time where I have to drop a little bit of my shtick and a little bit of my, facade that I have here and my hatred for Coach K and be real about it, because Coach K is the king of the mountain. And the reason that he's the king of the mountain is because he helped facilitate the greatest rivalry that I or anybody in college basketball could have ever witnessed. And it all started with disrespect from a lot of people. They're like, they read this and like, these UNC fans, how classless. I thought it was the Carolina way. All right, let's work this thing back. Carolina way was invented by Dean Smith, and Dean Smith ran the ACC. And then this little rat man came to Durham and was challenging him and was disrespecting him and was, classless is the perfect word for it. But you know what he did on the other side of that and why I'm so upset about this current moment? He took the lessons that he learned both in victory and in defeat, competing with the greatest leader, I think, of men there ever was in Dean Smith, and he took those lessons and he used them to become a better man, a better leader, someone that I look at when I see Coach K today. And this is, I'm being honest. I see parts of Dean Smith that he has taken, and I've told you this. I mean, I appreciate that he has done that, and iron sharpens iron. He made Duke the program that Carolina was when I was a kid. Like when I look at Duke basketball now, that was what Dean Smith had. There is nothing but respect. But the fact that a bunch of 18-year-old college students said F Coach K and it has become this whole thing is mind-boggling to me. I don't endorse that. I don't think that they should have chanted that. I had people in the gym who said they didn't even hear that. So the fact that it's gotten blown up this by and large is shocking. But in reality, Coach K is the king of the mountain. This is his world. We're living in it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan is the GOAT of playing the game. He is the GOAT of coaching the game. We know that. But that doesn't mean that as a Carolina person, I'm going to sit up here and kiss his ass. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point. And that's all I have to say.
Well, this was when we were going into the game and I was worried about North Carolina giving gifts to K and all that sort of stuff.
There were no gifts.
That is in my, as a neutral observer, that would be so much worse than chanting F Coach K.
Yes.
That would be so much worse, is to like pretend like you don't hate this guy.
What did Coach K?
Really, behind closed doors, we all know how everybody in that arena feels about him.
Coach K said after the game, they asked him about this. Yeah. He said, "I got what I expected, and I was ready for it." Coach K knows what. I mean, this is fun. Yeah. This is the rivalry part of it. But this whole idea that Carolina was going to like roll out the red
So
carpet.
here's my question: Do you think Dickie V scheduled his tweet? Do you think he like had that tweet written like a week before the game and just hit auto tweet and he's like, because no matter what happens, the way the crowd treats him, I'm going to say that someone said F Coach K and we're gonna make it.
Coach K,
rush to K's defense.
Coach K has grown up so much in his years, and the fact that he came to the Dean Smith Center in his last time, and the first thing he talks about is Dean Smith. That is so far from what Coach K that I grew up knowing would do. You know what I mean? So I have a respect for that. But at the same time, a year ago, what was he saying? What's your major?
That's right.
So don't forget. You know what I mean? Like, just don't forget.
Jim,
don't forget.
Tate is. Would you say that Tate is completely broken by what happened on Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll speak for him.
He said he went from a little rat man to a little rat king of the mountains.
That's where he started as. I'm just saying, like, the disrespect started.
I mean,
there.
Tate's having an identity crisis for real.
You know what I was about to say? Duke culturally appropriated Carolina basketball. I mean, they stole it from us. I'm watching it and I'm
Did
that's us.
Did the Cameron Crazy steal the sheets from you too? Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
That's
please. Let's talk about that, please.
Great segue. Duke loses at home to Virginia. Virginia basketball's back. Tony Bennett's back. Shame on anyone who said they were off the Tony Bennett bandwagon as well.
God.
If you were off the Must Bus and the Tony Bennett bandwagon,
What an idiot.
Shame on you. You're an absolute moron. These two men have proven time and time again that they will figure it out. They will find a way. And if you jumped off the bandwagon in November, December, it's too late to get back on. So those of us that are on the bandwagon and have remained on the bandwagon,
never left.
We will continue to ride it. Duke loses at home to Virginia Tate. I guess we can talk about the game quickly. Reese Beekman hits the game-winning shot.
That's the talking point. Yeah.
The two other big bullet points to come out of the game for me on the Duke side are that, number one, Paolo Banchero's 1 second half shot attempt was the heave at the buzzer
that hit the side of the backboard. I didn't see the same response to him that I saw from Russell Westbrook when he did that. That's all I'm saying, but I don't know. Picking and choosing is what people are doing.
No, number two. Duke went zone, Tate. Duke played zone defense. Is this the white flag?
I didn't know if it was a Boeheim, like Coach K is trying to tip of the cap to Boeheim. It was very strange, but I think they were just trying to throw Virginia out of a rhythm. But they had all the bad karma leading up to this game. They had Kihei is short.
Kihei Clark was carving him up.
But
they make Kihei is short, yeah.
Like the Crazies lost this game. In the same way that Crazies.
They kind of did. They straight up lost him this game.
They've won some games, but they lost this game. And I think it started with the bad karma of all that. The cheat sheet that came out, the things that they had.
The cheat sheet, yeah, I'm going to read through some of these things. So and I want to have a broader conversation about these cheat sheets because we'll save the broader conversation for a second. I want to
just read, let the people
know. They painted their chest. It said Kihei Clark, Kihei is short. Kihei Clark then just does whatever he wants the entire game, dribbling in circles around Duke's defense and
9 assists.
Completely carves them up. And every Duke fan watching that is like, damn, if we had Kihei Clark on our team, we probably would
win the title. Yeah.
Or winning the national championship. Meanwhile, the Reese Beekman note that they had on the Cameron Crazies, they have all the bios of the guys, which is basically they just go on their social media and then pull stuff from that and then just put it into a bullet point, and it's the dumbest thing that exists in college basketball. Duke's not alone in this. I don't want to pile on the Cameron Crazies. Basically, every student section does this. All of them suck. All of them are stupid. All of them need to stop immediately if you have any self-respect whatsoever. But most students don't. Most college kids don't. That's what we know. That's what we know about college.
The whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Be stupid. But the Reese Beekman bio, there's a bullet point that says, was referred to as the point god in high school. He's currently averaging 7.9 points per game. This nickname has aged poorly. And then that's the guy that hits the game-winning shot to beat you. What else is there?
That was the note.
That was the note.
That is literally. See, when I was younger, these cheat sheets, one, they would never get leaked. But if the ones that you did see came out, they would be, I mean, you'd be impressed, right? Like, I'm not impressed with that. Like, that's not impressive. It's like a 5-minute Google. It used to be deep dives. Like, they would know everything.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be really reckless.
So this is let's talk about these things because this is a bygone this is a holdover of a bygone era of college basketball.
Yes.
Like this is a tradition that they used to do in the 80s and the 90s, and like this is something
This is
that
pre-internet.
has somehow lasted the test of time. That, like, as I said, Duke is not the only student section that makes these, but they're terrible. And I think, as you said, the internet has changed this whole deal where, like, the sheets used to be like the only way you could find this information is if you know people who know people.
Yeah.
And if you knew one of the player's girlfriend's names and you said the player's girlfriend name to the player,
it would
mess them up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know who I'm dating?
Yeah.
How could you possibly know
Yeah.
that? Now, of course, how do we not know? It's right there in front of our face. Like, so if you're going on social media to find all your dirt on people, it's not interesting. It's not fun. It's not funny. I don't understand why this continues, other than like.
And like you
college
said,
kids are
it used
stupid.
to be like
It's-
this mind game where you're like, wait a second, what? Like you know my high school principal's name?
When
and
I
you
was
were-
at
you
Michigan-
knew that I got suspended from high school. Like,
when we
what?
when
How
we
did you know
played
that?
at Michigan State my freshman year, when I was at Ohio State, one of the dudes in the zone just goes, "Hey Titus, how's Courtney?" And I turned around, I was like, "What the?" Because we'd broken up.
You're like, wait a second.
So Courtney's, yeah.
And like
No,
and like
no,
the natural but like the natural
it
human
was-
react, you're like,
I was like,
what?
how does this man know this? I'm
Yeah.
a walk on. Like, why would he? Like, there was actually.
And guess what
something.
you're not thinking about? Not to say like it was you, but like if you're a player and you're on the free throw line and someone says, "Hey Titus, how's Courtney?" Immediately you're like thinking about Courtney and you missed a shot and you're like, "Wait a
Yes,
second."
yes.
Like they got me.
But if you would have said, "Hey Titus," and then just read a tweet of mine from like 6 months ago,
Yeah.
which is what these sheets are now, is like,
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, they're going through and just like look at what Armand Franklin tweeted, and you're like,
Sick.
okay,
Sick.
you're gonna read that to him? You're gonna show him his tweets? Like, I don't understand what this is. One of them, Milicic, they just straight up said he's from Croatia. Bro is literally from Croatia, and then it's a cry, which like honestly seems a little problematic to me.
Yeah, that's
Crying,
xenophobic.
laughing, yeah,
That's xenophobic.
yeah.
So canceled. Get the crazies out of here.
Oh my god. Oh man. So that's
It was good in the sense that, one, like we said, Tony Bennett is back. It was also nice that like there were three. I saw the Virginia people. Sean Singletary hit a shot against Duke. That was a game winner. Ty Jerome, obviously the fake pass, Trevon
Oh,
Duval,
dude.
and hits the three.
huge.
You know what I
Huge
mean?
stones.
And then of course Reese Beekman hits this one. So it was kind of like the trilogy of big time Virginia baskets against Duke over the years. So it was nice to get that moment in the sun. And Virginia's had a tough year. Obviously, they've played pretty solidly in the ACC. They're 6th in the ACC right now, but they needed a win. They needed something to say like, "Hey, we're still here." Tony's going to get the torch from Coach K when he leaves the ACC. So it felt like that game in a nutshell. So that was good.
What did they say about? I'm trying to find what.
Everything on that sheet was embarrassing. I didn't find one thing that would have really rattled anybody.
They did
That's the
put
whole
Caden
point.
Shedrick, who was 8 for 8 from the field and just dunked all over Duke at will. Finished with how many points did he have? Like 16, 18, something
16.
like that.
16.
They made a note of his averages 6.6 points per game despite playing 20 minutes per game. So that's funny that you're like, I don't know. Never mind. We can.
These
move
are
on.
bad.
These are just bad.
these are really
you're
bad.
just
Like there's nothing on there that would rattle anybody. Like if someone chanted at you, "Hey Mark, you only score 6.6 a game, but you play 20
oh
minutes."
my God,
you're like,
Malachi Poindexter. I'm sorry. Malachi Poindexter. So they point out his last name is Poindexter, which is fair play, I guess. But like this guy's heard this his whole life, so like I don't know.
Poindexter calling out Poindexter.
But the final bullet point on his says he knows how to juggle, so he can join the circus when basketball doesn't work out. Oh wait, he plays for UVA, so he's already there.
Like who wrote
My
that?
PSA to all the student sections is just stop doing these. Like there's you can't win. Like even and truth be told, like half your student section, probably more than half your student section, thinks this is lame as hell too. Like the kids that are showing up that are, that are sneaking in alcohol and
I mean, not at Duke, but
Yeah,
typically.
Duke's probably
Typically.
the
Duke.
fans are
Duke.
like,
They all
"These are
think
sick."
this is sweet. Everyone there thinks this is sweet.
On the front page. So that's all the trash talk, and then on the front page they have their chants and cheering info and all that. At the top it says Coach K has requested we don't do the high blank, you suck cheer during player intros. So please don't do that. And then it also says, when Coach K walks into Cameron, bow down to the GOAT with both arms. It literally says that.
Dude, have you seen the video? I'll send you the video. They have a little video where they teach you how to bow down to Coach K as he walks in. It's amazing.
Jaden Gardner ripped him to shreds. And they said, born in Durham, welcome home, Jaden. Sorry we didn't give you an offer. Then he killed him.
There was another one.
love this. This is so
Wasn't
good.
there another one that was like someone was trying to recruit Brakefield, right? Like someone, I think it was like maybe it was
Yeah, that was Beekman.
That was Beekman. That's right. It was
Yeah.
like tried to recruit
Tried and
Brakefield to
failed.
Virginia and failed. It's like, oh, sick. So I got him.
These are all terrible. That's my PSA. Do not do these. All of your fellow students, not at Duke, as you said, but like if, I'm sure Ohio State makes these.
I'm kidding. There's probably a few Duke fans.
To the Ohio State students that make these, please stop. All the other Ohio State students think you're lame. They think you're a loser. Everyone that sees these is going to dunk on Ohio State when they get put out. Like, these are not interesting. The players on the other team are not rattled by these. Please stop. Do better. That's my PS. Or they're gonna continue to make these, but I really wish it wouldn't.
Are they supposed to chant these things?
I don't understand it, Jim. Like it's just like information for you to have as a. I don't.
You
really,
tweet links to your Instagram photos. I mean, that could be a chant.
I think it's like guys that
You
like.
tweet links to your Instagram.
I think it's just guys that
Good.
want to do like sports journalism or something, and this is their take on like a Simmons
Yeah.
article from like 03.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Or they're just like,
Does Dickie V know about this?
you know what I mean?
This is worse than the profanity.
Thank you, Jim.
You
Thank
should-
you, Jim.
You should copy and paste Dickie V's tweet.
I don't know about you, Dickie B, but this is way
Just
worse.
plug in camera crazies. Oh man. What else? What else is there that we got to hit on? Texas,
Yeah,
Kansas. Texas big win over Kansas. Was this the upset of the year for you? It was for me, and I'm not talking about Texas beating Kansas. I'm talking about Marcus Carr dribbling the ball 21 times on the what ultimately was the game-winning possession, and then not shooting and passing it to Timmy Allen. That's the upset of the year in college basketball.
I mean, I will say this. This Texas team did not inspire much hope, but Timmy Allen is a star. Timmy Allen is the only thing about this Texas team that I like. I'm not
I
even
think you're right.
like not even Chris Beard do I like. You know what I
think
mean?
you're right.
Like
I think
Timmy
Timmy Allen
Allen
is it,
is like
yeah.
this. He is the one person on this team that I'm like, I buy that guy.
Yeah.
Everybody else, get him out of my face.
I agree with
But
that.
I like Timmy Allen.
I agree with that.
And I mean, it was good for Texas to get this win. I was happy for Chris Beard because I like Chris Beard that he got this win. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. Kansas did not play very well. I don't really take too much away from this from the Kansas side of things, but I think if Texas doesn't win this game, then we're really having a conversation about
Kansas
what is
or
Texas.
Texas's best win before that was what? I don't even remember.
Exactly.
They
That's what I mean. Nothing. I mean, they
beat
had to win that
Tennessee.
game.
They beat Tennessee in the SEC Big
Challenge.
12. Yeah,
Okay.
they beat Tennessee in a
There you
close
go.
one. It was probably that. They needed like a signature win, a definitive like you can't argue this is actually
A good
excuse me,
win.
this is actually a good win. And they got it, but I haven't I mean, I have nothing else to add on Kansas. I feel like I'm out of Kansas takes. I've offered all my thoughts on Kansas. I think they're a good team, but they're
Flawed.
they are only going to go as far. They're like a better version of Wisconsin, where Agbaji and Johnny Davis are playing equal roles.
Yes.
Where
I agree with
those
that.
two dudes are just like superhuman and are carrying mediocre rosters, which isn't bad. Mediocre's not bad. Mediocre is by definition middle, Tate. Bad is down here. Mediocre's right here.
Yeah.
So they got mediocre dudes, and then they got superheroes, and that's like their team. And when the superheroes are superheroes, they're really good, and when they're not, that's okay. I don't know. Kansas is not.
Yeah.
like
I'm not really even. This game was so like singularly driven through
Where-
Timmy Allen that like Kansas was an afterthought for me.
so if like because I'm sort of over Kansas in terms of like getting excited about a national championship or a deep March run. I've been long over Texas. Like, congrats to Texas on a great win here, but that's not enough for me to buy back into the idea of Texas being anything special. Where do we fall in the Big 12 then? Because like Baylor, I wanted to believe in, but it's kind of hard to ignore what happened in Allen Fieldhouse. Texas Tech is really the only team in the Big 12 that I get like excited about,
Tournament-wise.
and I cheer for, and I like what I'm seeing. I like the juice coming out of this team.
Yep.
That's weird because like the Big 12 is obviously deep and great, and there are a ton of good teams, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech is the team I trust the most in the Big 12. Kansas, I still believe in some capacity, but like you said, it's not as – I had Kansas a national title level team. I think Kansas at best is maybe knocking on the door of a Final Four.
Get to the Final Four and lose by like 11.
Yeah. Like
Kentucky, or
they win the regional,
again,
that would
they
be
rematch with Kentucky in the Final Four.
There you go. I mean,
it's a little closer this time.
Yeah, but I could see Agbaji getting to a Final Four, but I just don't see them being the title team due to their deficiencies. But
I probably don't see Texas Tech as a title team, to be completely honest.
I can see them as a.
But they're just fun, and it's like there's like fun energy around the program right now, and that there's not fun energy around Texas's program.
No,
there's not fun.
Is there ever? Like that's the problem with Texas. I've been trying to figure out why Texas basketball just doesn't do it for anybody, including the people that are playing for Texas basketball. And it does feel like it just is a burden, you know what I mean? And I think that's why Timmy Allen had my attention, because he seemed to be playing with joy, you know, and I enjoyed watching someone in a Texas uniform play that way.
I told you, Texas is too fine with losing.
Yeah, too cool for school.
They lose and they're like, it's okay. We're still Austin's a 6 city. Have you seen the property values around here?
And I'm still a 5-star
because everyone's moving here.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the next Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Yeah, Texas fans don't really care. They shrug their like Texas Tech fans treated the game against Texas as the biggest game in the history of the program, and it showed. And then Texas Tech beats the hell out of Texas, and Texas fans' reaction is just like, it's kind of lame that they care that much.
No, yeah, they literally were like, "Why do they care that much?" And Texas Tech was like, "What'd you say?"
But that's Texas's. That feels like Texas basketball's entire brand is just like, it's kind of lame that you care that much. Yeah, they just say that to every team that beats them. Like,
and everyone's like, it's kind of lame that you suck.
You suck and you don't care. Why do you not care more? Ugh.
Come on, Chris Beard. Change it.
The Big 12 is in an interesting spot though, because it's similar to the Big 10 to me in that it's obviously a very deep conference. Obviously, a lot of really good teams. But if I'm trying to circle national title hopes, I'm like, man, this is slim pickings. Like on an individual level, I don't trust Kansas. I don't. Baylor. I don't know. Baylor's got to win me back. Baylor can win me back. I think Baylor can find a way to win me back, but
I'm not out on Baylor.
Yeah, I'm not out on Baylor all the way yet. It's like kind of Baylor and Texas Tech, but Texas Tech I think is just more of like, I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't actually think that if you change their jerseys and change their story of losing their coach and all that, I don't know if I'd actually buy into Texas Tech as a national title threat. But I want to drink the Kool-Aid because it's fun right now. You know.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with the Big 12. And TCU, shout out to you guys. You're having a great year, but come on.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. And there were a couple teams that I had interest in, like West Virginia, but Taz Sherman with the concussion, he's been out of games, You know, they're out of the conversation. Oklahoma, I was interested with them to see what Porter Moser would do in his first year. They're kind of out of the conversation. So
the national title conversation.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's
good years. You know?
But like
Iowa State is another team that's like awesome season.
Great
very
story.
Excited.
Yeah.
About the future. It's not it this year. You're not winning the national title, and that's okay. That's okay. UConn beat Marquette. Talk about another team that's not going to win the national title. UConn and Marquette. The Big East is the same way, dude. Like the Big East. We're going to the Big East tournament. Hopefully, I'm excited for it because I think the Big East tournament it has historically been the best conference tournament. We know this, but this year especially, it's going to be awesome because all of these teams seem to be as good as one another. Villanova is usually like head and shoulders better than everybody. That is not the case this year. Providence is the best team in the Big East, technically, but like
Kim Pom hates them.
Kim Pom hates them, says they're lucky. Providence fans are like, we kind of are lucky,
but also don't call us lucky.
Don't call us lucky. Only we're allowed to say we're lucky. It's an awesome conference in that like you have no idea what to expect every game you watch, but at the same time, I have to be honest, there are a very hard zero national title contenders in the Big East in my estimation.
Yeah,
zero.
Yeah.
Sorry, Providence. Sorry, Marquette.
Yeah.
Sorry, UConn. I
mean, Villanova's the best of that crop to be what we're talking about national title contenders, and that's just because of Jay Wright.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it.
Yeah. So, but UConn beat Marquette today, and that's
Sonogo played great. What he had 24 and 15.
Yeah.
I mean,
But the problem with all the Big East teams is they feel like the point I made about Michigan State, I've made this point about Michigan State a few times, is that like you look at their rosters and you watch them play and you think like this team would be so good if you added a star to it.
Yeah.
Like UConn is basically, for all intents and purposes, like sort of the same team as last year without James Bouknight. I wish they had James Bouknight.
Oh my God! I mean, if they had James Bouknight with Sonogo this year,
I wish they ran it back.
They would be.
But that's how
legit.
like the Big like.
And the Hornets won't play Bouknight.
This is the problem with Villanova. Like Colin Gillespie, we've talked about that. Like he's a very, very good basketball player. I don't think Colin Gillespie is a star. I think him being a first-team All-American is a little too lofty of an expectation to put on him. Marquette, like Justin Lewis has been awesome. He's been a ton of fun to watch. Daryl Morcell has been,
what a great pickup still.
Great pickup for them.
Yeah.
I really wish they had like another guy on top of that.
Marquette to me might be the most interesting team when it comes to the tournament because they're going to be a tough out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I could see Shaka and them making a Sweet 16 run or something like that. But we're talking about national titles.
We're talking about national titles.
That's what we don't want to get lost in as we talk about these teams. We're talking about
UConn, like
national
RJ
titles.
Cole and Sonogo, like they're two good dudes, but like I don't know. I want like every single team I look at in the Big East. Xavier with Scruggs and Nunji. I'm like, this team would be awesome but is Scruggs like can you win a title with Scruggs? I don't know. So that's where I've arrived with all the Big East. St. John's, Jim. What the hell? Champagne and Posh Alexander. St. John's, like on paper, you could convince me like Champagne and Posh Alexander could have been stars. I don't know what the hell happened to St. John's. They're a huge disappointment this year.
They're pacing themselves.
They're gonna win the Big East tournament.
Yeah,
saving it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just saving their energy.
Yeah, I don't.
You gotta know when to win.
I said this to you off the year. I don't know which New York team is more sure of themselves that they're going to make the tournament, even though they're at a 500 record. St. John's or Syracuse. Like both of those programs keep talking about the tournament. I'm like, how?
Syracuse has the attitude going in the NCAA tournament that we were saying Auburn has going in all these games where they're like, we'll find a way. We always do. We always find a way to win. That's Syracuse right now. They're like, we always find a way into the tournament. We don't have to worry about it.
I think Lenardi went to Syracuse or something because they're going to be the first four out and then win 2 games in the ACC tournament. And somehow here they are.
They're going to sneak it.
They're in Dayton.
Shoutouts, closeouts. What do we got?
I want to shout out Caitlin Clark, who is officially the Kevin Durant of college basketball.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you heard it here first. According to Stats by Stats, which is slowly becoming my favorite account, Caitlin Clark had 46 points, 10 assists while playing all 40 minutes. In the last 15 years, the only NBA, WNBA, or Division I men's or women's player to have 45-plus points and 10-plus assists while playing the entire game was Kevin Durant in the 2021 playoffs, a.k.a. Caitlin Clark. Look no further. Jabari Smith, good try, but you are not the Katie of college basketball. Caitlin Clark
I have
is.
no idea what you just said.
I don't either.
I'm with it.
But Katie of college basketball.
That was awesome. Well done. Stats by Stats.
Stats by Stats. Who is that account? We got to figure it out.
Let's see here. I want to shout out the Murray State Racers for being ranked for the first time since 2015. Their only loss since Thanksgiving was to the Auburn Tigers, the number 1 team in the country for, the next few days at least. They don't have a ton of great wins. Their big wins are Memphis and Belmont. But they continue to win, and I just wanted to shout them out because I don't know if people remember this, but John Morant went there. Did you know that?
No way.
It's true.
He went to Murray State.
Yeah.
That is so funny that like when I hear Murray State, I immediately think of John Morant, which is like unfair to Murray State because Murray State has always been a really good basketball program.
The other thing about Murray State, I don't know if you've ever seen this video. It's like 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that. Murray State has the only student-made rap fan video thing. You know what I'm talking? Like, you remember that phase where like these students, the most famous one I think was "This Is Indiana." Yeah, we do it big, and the guys in the candy stripe.
Yeah, it was mid 2000s.
Yeah, I want to talk about cringe inducing.
Yeah. They didn't know those videos were gonna stay.
Yeah.
They thought they would go.
But Murray State, I remember they had one where I watched it and I was like, this isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. This is actually
pretty good.
You could convince me this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Murray State for that. I feel like Kyle could make one. Or probably did make one. That was which one did he go to?
New
Potsdam?
Potsdam.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
There's probably
SUNY Potsdam.
There's probably a Kyle rap floating around out there that's like, welcome to Potsdam.
Let me tell you, there's a Kyle rap floating around. There's for sure a Kyle rap floating around.
That's my ringtone.
There always is. Oh, man.
I do have it on my phone though.
I want to shout out the IUPUI Jaguars as well. They are holding open tryouts for the student body to
No
join
way.
the team. They're down to like 6 players or something, and they've put out the call. Why they didn't do this privately, I don't know. This isn't exactly a new phenomenon. Like, honestly, I kind of got on the team at Ohio State via this situation where they were down guys and they were like, we need some bodies, and they went out and just called me. But like, they did it privately. Can you imagine like Ohio State putting out like a press release that's like, we need help?
Yeah, no, I don't think it would go over
Try
well.
out, you know?
But I
Like,
do like that idea.
In
Like
the
if-
middle of the season in February?
I like if your team is struggling. Like if Carolina after the Duke game put out on Sunday,
is a
we
good
we are
That is
taking
true.
student body, like we have tryouts. You know what I mean?
Great
That would be
call.
the best PR move of all time, because then
That's a great
everyone's
call.
like they're taking accountability.
That is
You know what I
a great
mean? They're
call.
trying to find.
I take back everything I said. I love this. That is a great call. That is a great call. If Carolina had done that after the
That's
Duke
what
game,
I
I'd
would
be
have
like,
done if I
that
was
is-
the AD. I'm like, put out the requests. Someone's got to be better than these guys.
What else is there? What else you got?
What else? Oh, I wanted to shout out Theo Pinson, Jason Kidd, coach of the Dallas Mavericks. He said, we have an MVP on our team, Luka Doncic, but the real MVP of our team is Theo Pinson.
Mm.
And Theo Pinson, since he joined the Mavericks, they're 17-8. They were the 9th seed before he joined, and he's basically turned the whole season around for the Mavs just by being a good teammate. And guess what? By talking. He talks on the bench. He was great for the Knicks last year. You love Theo Pinson.
So he's the real MVP. He's the next KD's mom.
Yes, he is KD's.
How much-
Yes, the next KD's mom.
Uh,
Yes.
How much does he play? Is he
He does play. He played
does
on
play a lot?
Christmas Day. Played on Christmas Day when Luca. He's
That
like
counts
a-
as like 5 days.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, if you work on
you play on
Is
Christmas
that like
Day.
a Bill bit that like
No, if you play on
you tell
Christmas
who the
Day.
real guys are based on how many minutes they get on Christmas Day?
No,
or
no, they had COVID problems. That's why he played on Christmas. He basically played. He basically played as Luca on Christmas Day. And if you look at the highlights on Christmas Day, it's like here are the Mavs highlights. It's like Theo Pinson like assisting, and it's ridiculous. But he's changed the dynamic of the whole team, and they have fun again. So it's good to see.
Is that banner hanging in the Dean Dome that says Theo Pinson played on Christmas Day?
I put it up there. I put it up there. The Miami Heat might put it
The
up.
real MVP, the real MVP of the team. I had a couple I wanted to rip through real quickly. Shaden Sharp not going to play for Kentucky this year. He was the ace up the sleeve for Kentucky. They looked at their hand and they said, "We don't need the ace. We're fine."
And now
We
there's
have
some
plenty of aces."
some comments that are saying he might go to the draft, right? I mean, I just saw like some hoopla and then I didn't really check into it. Is that true? Can he go to the draft?
I don't know.
How is he older than Amani
I
Bates?
don't know.
Okay.
I
We're on the same page.
The
then,
NBA
'cause I don't either. And I saw Calipari talking about a number 1 pick and how he had already had 4 number 1 picks, and I didn't know who he was talking about.
I still am trying to figure out how guys can reclassify in the first place, where it's like you're getting ready to go into your senior year of school.
Yes.
You have a whole year of high school you still have to do before you
all
graduate
these
high
credits
school.
and things.
And then you snap your fingers and suddenly you've done enough to get into a school like Duke, which
Mhm.
is famously very difficult to get into. I still haven't really figured all that out, Tate. So anything that's not a traditional path of you go to the high school, anything like you go to a high school that's not your hometown, even that's confusing to me. I'm still confused by that.
Yeah.
If you're from a town, if you're from the, I'm from Brownsburg, Indiana. I went to Brownsburg High School for
Mhm.
4 years. Then I graduated. Then I went to a university for 4 years. Then if you take any path other than that, I get confused by it. I don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
I
Prep
don't
school.
know who's eligible.
Yeah.
How many years you have left. It doesn't make any sense to me. Speaking of which, shout out to Steve Smith of Oak Hill, head coach at Oak Hill. He's retiring.
And he is a legend. I mean,
He's an absolute legend.
yeah,
Oak Hill, you know more than I do because you're from that part of the country. But to me, Oak Hill was always the original Donda Academy. That was the first
my
Donda Academy
God.
where I was like, how could, because like I would watch Oak Hill on ESPN. They played LeBron in the first game that I ever watched LeBron play on TV. And Jay Billis was
Mhm.
doing the
2002.
Yeah. And Ivan Harris was on that team, by the way. Future Ohio State Buckeye Ivan
Yeah.
Harris. And I remember like the roster for Oak Hill was like guys from all over the country. And like the schools in Virginia. And I was like, how is that possible? That makes it so they're an AAU team? It's like, no, they're like an academy prep school.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't make it, because even, like LeBron's the best player in the country. He's from Akron. He goes to a high school in Akron. That computes. But then they were talking about Ivan Harris in that game because he was from Ohio. He's from Springfield, Ohio, I believe. But he goes to school at the school in Virginia. I was like, how does that make any sense whatsoever? original Donda, I think.
I know.
It was original
I
Donda.
think that. So it wasn't Oak Hill was the first one. It was Hargrave Military Academy. Do you know Hargrave?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
that was like the first one. There was a kid from our hometown that got recruited to go to Hargrave, and I was like, wait a second, you get recruited in high school?
high
Like,
school,
what is happening? And then there was another kid that went to Oak Hill, and I'm like, what is what is? And then it was just the thing, you know. And then like, if you were good enough, you were like, yeah, I'm trying to go to Oak Hill. You're like, you don't want to play on our high school team?
yeah.
What is happening? And that's and then who would have thought that's
Who
the
would've
world we
thought?
live in? And now we got to the
Now
point
if you
where
play for your high school team,
now you just make a high school.
yeah. Now if you're from I don't know, pick a town and
You're a
If
3-star.
you're from Hickory, North Carolina, and you play for Hickory High School, you're a loser.
Yeah, you're a 3-star.
suck.
You have no chance to if you don't play on the circuit
What an
now.
idiot.
You have literally no chance to be a 5-star. Like seriously, no chance. If you just played your high school.
I wanted to shout out Jalen House, scored 42 points at Air Force on Saturday. He's Eddie House's kid. He plays at New Mexico, and it's interesting to me because I don't know if people are aware of this. First of all, New Mexico sucks, so don't get too excited. But Jamal Mashburn Jr., who played for Richard Pitino, who's now the coach at New Mexico, followed him to New Mexico. So New Mexico has Eddie House's kid and Jamal Mashburn's kid. I don't think people realize that, probably because New Mexico sucks and isn't really winning. But he had 42 points against Air Force.
I love that.
That's pretty good.
I mean, we have a lot of like second generation. I mean, you know, we talk about Scottie Pippen Jr. I mean, you know, we could go all day. But yeah.
Also, the other thing I want to say, Todd Golden, head coach of San Francisco, pulled a Jimmy V. I don't know if you saw this on Saturday night. They were up by 2 with like 7 seconds left, and he fouled to put Portland on the line. Up by 2.
Yeah.
And Portland had 1-1, and they made the first and missed the second. It worked. That was a Jimmy V move.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, just to put the pressure on you. It's basically like icing
make them
the
hit
kicker.
free throws.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they did that. That was pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like it better than the fouling when you're up when you're up 2 and you don't want them to hit a 3. Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. Oh, no, I don't. I wanted to say this. My father and I are going to the Daytona 500, and I need people to help me with that. Have you ever been to a Daytona 500?
I haven't.
I decided for since I work at Fox, I wanted
It's gonna be a great time,
connections
though.
at Fox to hook my dad up with Daytona 500 setup. We are doing it. We are going to the Daytona 500. It's next Sunday, and it's the week after the Super Bowl. It always sneaks up on me. I've never been. We're race fans in our family. We grew up in Indy. We're more of the IndyCar fans. But Jeff Gordon is from Hendricks County, Indiana.
So you were Gordon.
So, like, we were Gordon guys.
Yeah.
But that's like a
Yeah, I was
faux
an Earnhardt
pas.
guy.
Yeah, because the South hates Gordon because
Oh, we hate Gordon.
doesn't say y'all.
I hated Gordon. So, and then like as soon as I thought I couldn't hate Gordon anymore, here comes Jimmy Johnson. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, yes. Anyway,
They're the Duke of racing.
yeah, they kind of are.
Yeah.
But you know, Jeff Gordon's from down the road.
I
from
know.
where
I
I'm
know.
from,
Yeah.
so it's like, what are we gonna do?
You get a pass as an Indiana person.
But the Daytona 500 always sneaks up on you. It's always during college basketball season. I said enough is enough. I'm taking Dad to the Daytona 500, but you know, we're a couple Yankees going down south to a NASCAR race.
I don't even know Florida.
We need some. We need some help. So if anyone's going to the Daytona 500,
who are you pulling for? Like
Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
Still. I'm gonna wear a DuPont Rainbow Warriors jacket.
I mean, the DuPont was fire. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't hate on that. I mean, what it was.
I'm gonna honestly, I think I'm gonna Rob Lowe it and just get like a NASCAR shirt and wear. I'm just cheering for NASCAR.
Man, I had so many racers. Like I loved Ward Burton. I loved the Burton bro. I love Jeff and Ward Burton. I love Bobby Labonte. I love Mark Martin. There was a bunch of great racers back in that time. It was kind of like wrestling for me. Like when I was in it,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I knew everything.
You knew
and-
everyone.
Yeah. And then I got out of it. Now when I look back, I'm like, Ryan Newman. I
It
remember.
still
Ryan
pisses
Newman.
me off that guys can drive like the 3 car and the 24 car and the, you know, I'm still
Yeah.
like, how is that possible? How is someone driving?
I watched Junior for a little while because I was like, you know, I gotta support Earnhardt. I gotta support the family. But like
Yeah.
when you knew it was just a little bit different. You know,
Yeah.
wasn't the same. And then
But-
Austin Dillon was
Yeah,
driving
was
the
driving
3,
three.
the Goodwrench. Like, no.
Yeah, no.
Again.
But the NASCAR did the event at the Coliseum. It was
I know.
awesome. It was
I
fun
should have gone to
watch.
that.
I'm getting the juices flowing, so I wanted to say that Dad and I are going to Daytona. We're excited about it, and I don't know. I might talk about it on the show a little bit.
No, we'll talk about it. You know,
Uh,
I want to talk about racing.
And then the other thing was we're doing Media Row for Super Bowl. I wanted to tell the people, explain to the people what that is, because and by people I mean me. What the hell are we doing?
I said to someone that we were doing Media Row, and then they had the same thing. Basically,
Is it Radio Row?
it's
Is that the
Radio
same
Row.
thing?
It's Radio Row, but now they
Okay.
say Media Row because
nobody
it's-
listens to the radio.
Exactly, and they don't want to turn people off that are
Podcast
digital
Row.
media because yeah. But basically,
It's offensive.
yeah,
We're doing Twitter Spaces Row here. This is
We're going on IG Live. No, but basically, we go down. We have a little booth, and then it's like car wash. For lack of a better term, there's celebrities, there's media people, yada yada, and they rotate them through. There's us, and they rotate us through, and then they say, "Hey, you want to interview Willie McGinnis, Titus and Tate, who are set up at this booth? You have 10 minutes."
who's the
on
one
the phone.
on the phone?
Well, it used to be in person, Jim.
What are we? So are we sitting still and people are coming to us, or are we?
Yeah, we're sitting still.
Okay.
We are at a booth. Think about this: you're at a county fair, and we have our booth, and there are going to be bystanders that are coming by that maybe want to watch us do our show, maybe want to listen for a second. And there's also going to be guests that are going to be on our show that are going to come, introduce themselves, and sit down with us and have a conversation. But a quick,
like at the county fair.
just like at the.
Look at the size of that pig, or whatever people do at the county fair.
Yeah, exactly. Guess the age or see the bearded
How
woman.
many
We
jelly
are the
beans are in
bearded
that
woman.
thing?
That's
we are the bearded woman. All right, that's fun.
I have a shout out.
What's that?
Well, it's more of a salute.
Okay.
The newly inaugurated president of Donda Sports, Antonio Brown.
Oh my God.
Oh, he was
Self-crowned.
self-crowned.
Yep. The POTUS, or he'd just be
Jesus.
Pods, I guess.
Jesus.
President of
President
Donda
of-
Sports, Pods.
Yeah.
And then correct me if I'm wrong. The president of Donda Sports bought a suite at the Super Bowl for $2 million.
He could do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
You should've got it for free.
apparently he got an owner suite at the Super Bowl under Donda Sports, and they're bringing kids from Inglewood to be in the suite with them, along with all the models and things, of course.
America.
We're gonna make fun of Donda so much that I'm eventually gonna get to a point where I am so jealous of these kids.
No, yeah,
It's not-
yeah.
I'm no longer.
Dude, there's gonna be a point where I'm trying to recruit kids from my hometown to Donda.
We work ourselves into a shoot. All right, so we're gonna do Media Row. We're gonna put out a show. We're gonna interview all these
Yes,
hodgepodge.
that's a
celebrities.
bonus episode.
We have some woman from Vanderpump Rules we're supposed
We
to be
don't-
talking to.
yeah,
Her name's Lala Kent.
and she's like a fantasy football expert.
I wonder who she's got number one in the rankings now that Auburn's lost. I can't wait to talk to her.
We should make our predictions at the end of that show, our Super Bowl predictions, as a joke. Let's just take all of the tropes that we've heard all week.
So we're gonna do a bonus deal where we're gonna go down to Radio Row. We're just gonna compile everything we can, I don't know, figure out there.
We're gonna aggregate.
and throw it out into a show.
Yep.
But then we're also on Saturday. We're gonna go back to Tate's house like we did this past Saturday. Watch the games, do a show there. Ohio State's at Michigan, by the way, so that could be last week.
This is payback.
Last week you cried. This week maybe I.
Oh man,
shed some tears. On
I'm
the show.
still crying.
So we're gonna do that too. So we will not be putting out a show on Friday. We're going to be down at Radio Row dealing with all that. But that's the schedule. Check it out. See you guys. Peace.
All right,
Perfect.
good job.
Fun
That was
times.
fun.
Was I not supposed to talk about all the people we're having on?
No, that was perfect. We can say whatever.